the KORNer Booth pregame show here, KORN News Radio. Tonight, Thursday night, we do get ready for Mitchell Kernels senior night for volleyball as they're at home for the final time, at least in the regular season. Mitchell, even with the loss tonight, as they play number 2 O'Gorman, a really good shot for the Kernels to be at home next week for their SODAC 16 match. We'll touch on volleyball, but also quarterfinal round of football last week and semifinals here coming up. Marcus Traxler and Landon Dierks with us every week, breaking down the action and breaking down what the brackets look like right now. Marcus and Landon from the Mitchell Republic. Again, KORNer Booth being brought to you this season all year long by Marlin's Family Restaurant of Mitchell, James Valley Landscape Solutions, and Jimmy John's. I'm Travis Kriens. I guess for our coverage here on KORN, just 4 area teams are left, and I thought there might be a couple in 11B. There might be a Wagner. There might be a winner that would maybe go on the road and pull it off last week, but that did not happen, and I guess I was curious. Landon, looking at past brackets, I thought there might be a team with a high seed. Howard, the highest seed left in the state at 7, but I don't think there's many people surprised that Howard is still around here in the semifinals. What do you make of the lack of maybe any upsets here through the first 2 rounds? Because looking back, there's been at least, I've only gone back the last 4 years, there's been at least one double-digit seed in one of the 7 classes make it to the semifinals, and we don't have that. We're not close to having that. Howard, your 7 seed, your highest team left. What do you make?
I mean, I just think it's hard to go win on the road in the postseason. I know, like you said, most years we have 1 or maybe 2 teams that manage it, but this year we just don't, and that doesn't necessarily shock me. Just because I do believe you get to this time of year, and those teams that have earned the top seeds earned them for a reason. Well, by and large, and so you have to go beat those teams on their home field, and that's no easy feat. I think it's as simple as that.
Marcus, top team's pretty good this year. We've talked about Sioux Falls Christian and Wall and Del Rapids St. Mary's and Freeman's awfully good. And maybe there's the seeding was maybe more fair this year. There wasn't that team that you thought, oh yeah, maybe they could go on a run. That just did not happen.
Well, the one team that we thought was maybe a surprise in the seeding was Coleman Egan. They're still playing, even though they were a team that wasn't ranked. They're number 3 and they're in 9B and they're still alive. That's one of the classes that typically has an upset, and we have the top 4 seeds still left in that class as well. So I think it takes 2 to make an upset, right? You got to have a upper team that doesn't play as well. Quite frankly, we had Woonsocket Western Springs go out in the first round. That's probably been the biggest upset we've seen, and then we just have not had the teams further down that have been able to pull those off. And it's one of those things where I guess it's not a guarantee you're going to have that every year. And just to your point about 11B. There's a lot of years, I don't know how many years it's been, where we've had an area team playing, at least in the semifinals. It's very strange to not have anybody left, at least near Mitchell, in the Final Four.
Yeah, in 11B, you did have Wagner lose to Dual 27-12. Wagner kind of hung around a little bit, but Dual wins by a couple scores. Then St. Thomas More knocked off Mount Vernon Plankington 31-8. That Elk Point Jefferson Sioux Valley game, that was close for a while. I mean, that was 14-14 at one point, and then EPJ rolls in the second half, 49-14. And then Winter just did not have enough offense. Winter loses to Clark Willow Lake 30-12. So he had 2 or 3 area teams that were on the road. None of them could get that road win. And EPJ, a little bit of a scare early, but obviously they steamroll Sioux Valley in that second half.
Mount Vernon Plankington was flirting with it for a little while as well. It was 8-0 for a long stretch, then maybe 8-3 as well. So. But over the course of 4 quarters, the Cavaliers had way too much. So, yeah, top 4 left in this class as well. And again, I wouldn't have guaranteed that when we started the playoffs 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, EPJ undefeated, St. Thomas More undefeated. Seem like they're your big favorites tonight. Can one of these northern teams, Landon, pull something off? Dual tough test for them. Clark Willow Lake going out to Rapid City seems like big favorites here, number 1 and number 2.
Well, I've been beating the Clark Willow Lake drum since the very beginning, and I mean it's going to be a tall task. I think St. Thomas More is good. They proved something to me by handling Mount Vernon Plankington after the Titans first score the way they did a week ago, and so I think I would favor the Cavaliers, but I'm not ready to rule out the Cyclones making it to the Dome.
These are the top 2 scoring defenses in this class: St. Thomas More and Clark Willow Lake, each of them giving up less than 8 points a game. We've talked about St. Thomas More, pretty soft schedule. They've given up less than 4 points a game. And these are teams that are on long winning streaks. Clark-Willow Lakes won 8 in a row. St. Thomas More has won 10 in a row. I think they've won 18 of their last 19 games dating back to last season. And so to me, it really comes down to Clark-Willow Lake's going to have the long trip all the way out to Rapid City, but you're one game away from the Dome. And I have to think that they're going to let everything hang loose here in this, last chance to get to the Dakota Dome. You don't want to have your season end in the semifinals. Quite frankly, as you were just talking about, you're kind of lost to history if you don't make the Dakota Dome in some ways, because those teams stick together forever. You look up the list of teams that play in the Dome, we see who played in that. The teams that lose in this round, it's pretty heartbreaking. So I have to think everybody's pushing in here with one game to get to the Dakota Dome. I think St. Thomas More is going to win this game. I think the top 2 seeds in this class will meet up in Vermilion next week.
Class 9AA, 2 of the area teams left, including Freeman and Parkston. Freeman still undefeated, 10-0. They have hardly been tested this year. Freeman, Marion Freeman Academy. They've got the 5-seed Hamlin tonight, and then number 2, Elkton Lake Benton, hosting the 3-seed Parkston. Parkston looking to get back to the Dome again year after year after year. Can Hamlin give Freeman a game? Because Freeman has steamrolled everybody. If they do this here against Hamlin tonight, sets up another Freeman Elkton Lake Benton game. But does Hamlin have a shot here against Freeman?
Well, let's remember that Freeman has played Elkton Lake Benton. They beat him handily. Yeah. They played Parkston. They beat him handily. So they have made it look easy because they are this good. I think Marion Freeman Academy is going to win. I think it could be a relatively close game. These two teams, they're tied for first place in scoring defense, Hamlin and the Phoenix. I think Hamlin's probably going to be drawing some confidence from winning that game at Hill City last week. The only thing you can say about Marion Freeman Academy is they've never won this game in the past, but they've won playoff games to get to this point. They played Parkston last year in this round. I think they're an especially motivated team, and they have a ton of skill players. It just seems like they have skill players coming out of their ears. So I think it'll be the Phoenix winning this game.
Yeah, I think it's all on Hamlin to try to keep pace offensively, because to Marcus's point about just all those playmakers, when you give Freeman, multiple bites at the apple, they're going to score points. They're just going to score on you. It's on the opposition, in this case, obviously Hamlin, to do something to stay on the field, not go 3 and out with any relative frequency, because if you do that, the game's just going to get away from you in a hurry.
Or you got to stop him. You either got to score or you got to stop him.
And no one's been able to do that.
If you're Hamlin, what is the easier route to win this game? I think it's got to be your offense has got to get it moving, like you're saying, because I don't think you're going to stop. I don't think you're holding Freeman to less than 24 points. And I think that's on a very low, generous side to Hamlin. So this is going to be, they're scoring 48 points a game, and there were no forfeits. There was no funny business in how the Phoenix have gotten to that number. So I'm expecting the Phoenix to win. I think it could be a couple score game. I don't think this is going to be 50-6, but we'll see.
At least 50 points in 4 straight games for Freeman. And maybe part of the deal, at some point Freeman's probably going to have to play a 4-quarter game where it's not going to be called at halftime or in the third quarter, and they just rolled teams really for the past month. So does that come into it? Does a conditioning factor come in towards all right, we actually got to play a full 4 quarters here? Or
just the nerves and the pressure. If the pressure, if we're sitting there and it's 20-16 going to the fourth quarter, that's not like playing whoever they've played this year that they've just dusted. That's going to be a completely different scenario.
And Parkston trying to get back to the Dome again versus Elkton Lake Benton. Landon, how does Parkston match up? Where do they find success against an Elkton Lake Benton team that's they're both 9-1 on the season? Elkton Lake Benton 8-1.
Well, the thing that stood out to me from seeing the Trojans in person for the first time since week 1, when I was there in Parkston for the quarterfinals last week, was they were doing a really good job against Bonhomme of setting an edge offensively and getting the ball in Mason Jervik's hands to get to that edge in space. And he's their most dynamic playmaker. I think that's fair to say. He just has game-changing speed. And when you can get him to that edge, and if you get him to that edge clean, he can make some crazy things happen with that speed. And so that was basically the game for Parkston against Bonhomme. Mason Jervik scored all 5 of their touchdowns, 3 rushing, 1 receiving, and 1 on a 100-yard pick 6. So that was a pretty fantastic performance. we know Parkston has the athletes. It's about getting them in advantageous positions, which is easier said than done against a good team like Elkton Lake Benton. And I mean, really, if it comes down to it, Parkston's defense has been so good for a number of years now. They are going to be pushed to the absolute limit, I think, here against the playmakers of the Elks.
Yeah, and I saw Elkton last week against Hanson.
Hanson's got a great defense, and they got smoked.
And Hanson had chances in that game to keep this a lot closer, and they let that slip away. But Colt Beck at quarterback, Elliot Erickson, the main running back, he was a pass-catching threat as well. It's funny to hear Landon talk about what Parks needs to do, because I'm sure Elkton Lake Benton is thinking the same thing. If we can get our guys on the edge, which they did plenty last week, they're going to have a chance to move the ball. I think if you're Parkston, you got to win inside, you got to win up front. I think it's going to be a very even matchup, at least at that point. I did ask a couple people that would know. They seem to think Elkton Lake Benton's going to win this week, and I would tend to agree with that, but I think it's going to be one of those things where you got to stick to the running game, and then they need to hope that Mason Jervik can break off the big one to sort of change the game. But it might be 3-4-2, -2. You might not. Yeah, I know in 9-man football you kind of have to keep moving the ball to have progress. You get into 3rd and 10, it's harder to convert. But that might be the scenario of they just have to keep bashing Elkton Lake Benton until they break a big one and hope that those big plays happen, because I don't know that Parkson's going to be real inclined to throw the ball a ton. We know that their bread is buttered with the run game. I think Elkton Lake Benton would say the same thing. I think this is going to be a very good matchup, but I do think the Elks are going to win this.
That game on Q1073 coming up at 7 o'clock Friday night, Parkston at Elkton Lake Benton. You look at Class 9A, the only road team to win in the first 2 rounds of 9A was Howard last week. They knocked off number 2 Warner 28-21. They hang on for a touchdown victory, and that was kind of Warner was primed for an upset, and this was, I don't know if it was an upset, but they were primed to lose, I suppose. Howard with that 28-21 victory. Platte Geddes almost pulled it off. They almost had Platte as a 6th seed hosting a semifinal. They lose to Alcester Hudson 24-20. How does Alcester Hudson match up against Parkston? They played the first week of the season. Uncharacteristic of a Howard defense. Game 1, they gave up 40 points. They lost 40-29. But Howard appears to be probably a lot better than they were here in late August.
Well, Howard's offense was good in that game, but it looked like game 1, and they just fell behind, and they weren't able to keep pace with Alcester. They are averaging 40 points a game. What I find interesting is both these teams' defenses have had their moments where they've given up a ton of points. And so I'm most interested to see, you've got 2 really good running backs, Tommy Vaith, right, for Alcester Hudson. You got
Tommy Walth is the quarterback.
Tommy Walth, excuse me. And then Colt Becker, the running back for Howard, really talented, playmakers on both sides of the ball. So I'm excited to see what exactly happens. I think, obviously Alcester Hudson already won. They've already beaten Howard once this season. They certainly can do it again. But I think Howard is playing so much better than they were at the beginning of the season, even having the slip up to Viber Hurley at the end of the regular season. And I also think they just know how to win when it comes to postseason, even with new personnel. They have the coaching. They have the pedigree. I think this is going to be a Howard win on the road, and I think we're going to see this number 7 seed go one more week to the Dome.
I mean, this was the class that was actually competitive last week. 9A, you had Phillip and Ipswich, 8-point margin. Howard won by 7. Platte Geddes lost by 4. So some competitive games in 9A, and then Wall rolls Castlewood 41-0. I guess this is Wall's coronation next week as they take on Phillip. Howard, Alcester Hudson. Howard had that opening week loss, but since then I think they've gotten things right, and I like these matchups where we can say, okay, what were you 2 months ago? How much better are you? All of your kids who maybe didn't have experience, they're a full season into it now, and we'll see where these teams are at.
I think we talked about this a little before that first round, with matchups like Winter, Woonsocket, Washington Springs. The team that was on the short end of the stick the first time around generally has more to go off of and build off of than the team that was able to win that game, just because you can make obvious corrections if you're the team that lost, and maybe the corrections or tweaks that need to be made aren't quite as obvious if you're the winning team. And I have a ton of faith, just having seen it over the last 5 years. Pat Rummel and his staff, I don't want to give them 2 bites at the apple, because if they don't get it the first time, I would tend to believe that they get it the second time.
There's rematches in both of these games in this class, and then one in 9B. And then obviously 11A, 11AA, 11 AAA, those are all rematches. So it feels like we've got a lot for the semifinals of rematches. I know that's maybe a little bit more natural with the big classes. I think Wall is preordained to win this game, and who knows what will happen next week. I think Phillips' only saving grace, guys, and I know this is an audio medium, but it's that clip art logo of the Scotty dog. They need to summon some sort of, magic
from the Terriers,
from black magic from the Scotty, and hope that they can knock off their rivals from Wall 31 miles away.
And then Class 9B, there was, all the top seeds advanced there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 9B. You were there at Del Rapids St. Mary, crushed Corsica Stickney 56-6, and maybe not quite as dominant as Wall has been in that class because they've got maybe an Avon team on the other side of the bracket, but you saw St. Mary's, they've got a 3-loss Falkton team tonight, and I think we could see a lot of 1 seeds headed to the Dome here, at least on the 9-man side.
And a Falkton team that beat them last year in this round. The game was in Falkton. Travis, we talk every week, and we talk, and we've done it for many, many weeks, and you say things that sometimes end up being wrong. And I think I said Avon had the best offensive line in this class. I'm no longer convinced that's the case because Del Rapids St. Mary has some big boys up front, and I think they have better skill players than Avon if we get to that next week. So Del Rapids St. Mary is a machine. I was really impressed watching them. I know Corsica Stickney, they had some injuries. They were not a great matchup, I don't think, to pull off the upset, but I was thoroughly impressed by what I saw from Del Rapids St. Mary, and I think we're getting Del Rapids St. Mary Avon. I said that a few weeks ago. I hope that's the matchup. I think it at least can be a good game, but let's hope we get there next week. And I think it's interesting. I went and Landon and I did this for the previews, scoring offense, scoring defense. Coleman Egan, 7th in scoring offense, 6th in scoring defense. That's a little too far down the list at this point of the season. Yeah. Not saying they can't win. They've won 7 games in a row, but I do think Avon, particularly motivated after last year when they lost to Canastota in the quarterfinal. I
remember that game.
You were there.
I was there.
I think
I'll be there again tomorrow.
I think Avon gets it done here in the semis and gets back to the Dome.
I don't know why this. I'm a numbers guy. I don't think that's a secret. I don't know why this just tickled a part of my brain the way it did. But so Avon is averaging 51.7 points per game, just themselves this season. Coleman Egan's games total between the two teams do not reach that mark.
On average.
Yeah. They total to 51.6 average points per game, with Coleman only scoring 31 of those. I mean, this is similar to the take I had about you have to kind of keep up with Marion Freeman Academy if you're Hamlin. You got to keep up with Avon if you're Coleman Egan. I don't know if they can do it.
And this game was 38-0 when they played in week 1.
Yeah.
We're just too late in the season to really fully trust a team that's given up 20 points a game in 9-man football. I mean, that's just, you can't give up that much unless you're going to win every game 48-44.
I'll say Avon squeaked by Sioux Falls Lutheran last week 62-30.
That was closer for longer than the game than I expected it to be, I have to say.
That's their closest game they played all year outside of the Freeman loss, AA team.
Yep.
That's their closest game all year, 32 points on the margin. They beat Coleman, as you mentioned, Coleman Egan, that first game, 38-0. They played Sioux Falls Lutheran the second week. It was 62-20. Last week it was 62-30. So Sioux Falls Lutheran gives up 124 points in 2 games against Avon. So, yeah, I mean, they scored 30, but you needed to score like 65. So, didn't get it done.
I went back and watched the expedited replay of that game. They run the air raid, Sioux Falls Lutheran does.
All right, good.
The 9-man air raid, that's kind of fun. They could be fun to watch here in the next couple of years.
I'd just like to see your stat sheet if it is 65-64.
Oh, my God.
Here in the semis. And how long of a game would that be? I think we'd miss our deadline.
We'd miss the deadline.
Yeah, so...
Far cry from 16-8 last year, Canastota upsetting Avon in the quarterfinals. So that's your 11B and 9-man previews. Again, I guess strong 1 seeds across the board. We'll see if these 1 seeds get there. And then that other side of the bracket, are there any upsets? Or are we primed for a bunch of 1 versus 2s? Perhaps. Again, I was looking last year. There was an 11 seed that made the semis 2 seasons ago. There was a 10 and an 11. Back in 2022, there was a 12 seed that made it this far. And then 4 seasons ago, there were 4 5 seeds There was a 9 seed, there was an 11, there was a 14. That was what you mentioned last week. You had Bridgewater, Emory, and Beersford in 11B, the 7-14 matchup, or the 11-14 matchup.
And the 9 and 11 that you're referring to was, I believe it was Canastota, Freeman, and Platte Geddes, and they met in the title game as the 9 and the 11.
Yeah, so 4 years ago was extreme on the double-digit seeds on it. 2020, I like to look back at 2020. How far does this go back where there's been at least one double-digit seed get to the semifinals? It's at least 4 years in a row, and nothing came close this year. We'll preview 11A, our precious AA and AAA coming up next, plus Mitchell Volleyball as well tonight, 7 o'clock, as they take on number 2 ranked O'Gorman. We're back in just 90 seconds. You're listening to the KORNer Booth, brought to you by Marlin's, James Valley Landscape Solutions, and Jimmy John's.
Feeling hungry but not sure what for? The buffet at Marlin's is the perfect choice. So many mouth-watering options, everyone will find something they crave, and no one leaves hungry. Marlin's offers a breakfast buffet on Saturdays and Sundays, 7 to 2, a lunch buffet Monday through Fridays from 11 to 2, then a dinner buffet Friday and Saturday from 5 to 9. And don't forget, kids eat free on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's Marlin Family Restaurant in Mitchell.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Fall isn't the end of the growing season. It's the beginning of next year's beautiful landscape. At James Valley Garden Center, they make fall planting easy. Trees, shrubs, perennials, they all take root better in cool weather, and their team is ready to help you with expert advice. James Valley Garden Center is your local trusted partner for all things outdoors, season after season. James Valley Garden Center at 600 West Spruce. Let's go outside.
KORNer Booth pregame show continues. KORN News Radio, Travis, Landon, and Marcus. And Mitchell Volleyball coming up here at 7 o'clock tonight. We'll take a look at some of those semifinals for region volleyball here across the region. But first, again, you got football tomorrow night. Class 11 AA, the top 4 seeds advance. For some of them, not so easy. Basically, it was easy. Pierre was the only one who was easy for last week. Yankton gets past Spearfish 12-7. Sturgis wins on a very questionable call, Marcus, 28-21 to beat my Watertown squad. Huron with a 3-run shot in 7th to beat Brookings 7-2. Then Pierre takes care of T 41-7. I guess let's start with Huron. Doesn't really matter how you win at this point of the year. Their defense was spectacular, giving up that late safety versus Brookings. But the game was 7-0. It was 7-0 the entire way, and they did not allow the Bobcats to score. Brookings came also close at the very end of that game. They were knocking on the doorstep, and in that situation, they probably go for 2 if Brookings scores in the final seconds. But Huron survives and advances.
Intentional safety.
Yep.
At the very end of the game. So you don't always see that in high school very often. But
Brookings had the ball at the 10. Quarterback runs it to the 2. Fumbles it with a minute to go. I mean, that if he doesn't fumble, looks like they got a real good shot of scoring sometime during that drive and maybe go to overtime. But Huron's going to have to ride their defense if they're going to have to pull something off here against Pierre. And back-to-back weeks, they avenged that loss, Landon, from the week before. Survive and advance season right now for the Tigers.
Do you remember? This is probably 3-4 years ago now, where it just felt like every Big Ten conference game was just ugly and straight out of 1922 or something like that. These teams made their honorary Big Ten application last week.
Well, remember how the 11 AA championship was last year? You might need to get a warning put on the championship game this year because it could be even more diabolical.
That's why I like Pierre, because their offense. Nobody else is scoring 40 points, and Pierre scored 40 points here for the last month, and Huron's defense is going to get put to the test. It was 7-7 in that Pierre game against Huron early in the season with a minute to go. So, Huron's going to need a similar performance. They win 13-7, but we talk about 2 months later, I mean, the Pierre offense has obviously turned a corner since then.
4 straight games of scoring 40 points or more. My faith in the Huron operation is wavering because they are not scoring much anymore. And the defense is still good, no question about that. But are they going to be able to hold down Pierre for 48 minutes? I'm not seeing it right now. I do think Pierre's probably going to win that game. You mentioned the Yankton-Sturgis game. One of the instances of a team I think that Yankton's probably going to be particularly motivated to show that first game was an aberration. They have them at home. Sturgis, same thing we talked about Clark-Willow Lake. Going to make the long trip, but you have one chance to go prove that this whole season you put together is legitimate and then come back east next week for the title game. But I do think it's going to be Yankton and Pierre meeting up on Friday night next week.
Any rumor that if Sturgis wins, they're just going to spend the week in Elk Point?
They should.
They're going to stay in Elk Point, maybe Sioux City.
I think they're going to bunk up. They're going to bunk up at the minimum security prison.
Springfield?
No, in Yankton.
Okay.
Right, and they just park
Right
the bus
across?
2 blocks away and just say we're going to stay here. We'll get our practices in over on the field, and let's see what we can make happen.
Do you think those kids go to school at Yankton High School for the week?
I know.
I mean,
at
it's
the
remote.
prison, whatever the prison education.
Prison curriculum for the Sturgis Scoopers. Sturgis beats Watertown 28-21. Based on what I saw at the end, did you see the end of this game? Did you see this, Marcus? At the end of this,
Did you see this?
Did you see this thing on the YouTube? Sturgis scores with a couple seconds to go to win it, under a minute to go. There was a catch inside the 5 that I thought wasn't a catch by the near sideline for Sturgis that set them up first and goal. That based on looking at the game and the replay, I'm like this was not a catch. This kid was out of bounds. Ball was out of bounds. It didn't look like it was a catch. So I'm sure Watertown not so pleased to lose on a call like that. But Sturgis wins. They score a late touchdown, 28-21. So hopefully Yankton's offense can show up here because they've had a couple of stinkers throughout the season that just kind of make you scratch your head about what's up with this Yankton offense. And they're going to need to score some points here against Sturgis. So.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because Yankton obviously has the potential to score a ton of points. They did not last week. Like you're saying, a lot of these games just seem to be close in nature. I also think maybe just we can simplify it of all these teams are pretty similar in talent and ability and level and that sort of thing. Will we see a Pierre or a Yankton separate themselves in the final 2 weeks of the season? Perhaps. I'm going to be honest with you. After all these years of doing it, I'm not going to sit here and root for Pierre to go win another 11 AA title. I understand that they're playing particularly well, and certainly if they win it. But I like seeing the new blood, at least with Huron in the mix, Sturgis in the mix. Spearfish was interesting last week. It's all good.
I would like to do some research here and go back into the archives. Pierre's the 3 seed. When's the last time a 1 or a 2 didn't win it?
I'll let you know.
I have to go back because
Pierre was a 4, I think.
In one of those years, or which one?
As I say, it's Pierre, and during their run, it's not very far back.
Was Mitchell 1 in 16? Were they a 2 seed? So Harrisburg's 1. So, yeah, top 4 seeds advance in AA, and then 11A West.
Pierre was a 4. I guess they didn't win last year, but they were a 4 and got to the title game. Watertown was a 2.
I want to say Pierre's 1 is the 3.
2020, they were the 3.
Yeah.
Well, 5 years ago. 11A, there was a road team. Yes.
Are you picking Pierre at this moment in time to win?
Yeah. Pierre Yankton.
You're in on Pierre too, yes, Marcus?
Yes, sir.
I think Pierre wins by 30.
30?
Does Huron score more than 10?
Oh, I meant like win the whole thing.
And if Yankton plays like they're playing, they're going to get steamrolled.
Yeah.
The way Pierre's playing now with their offense, they have found it yet again. 11A West Central went on the road, beat Madison 29-20 in a 5-seed advances. They've got Sioux Falls Christian. Then Del Rapids Lennox, I guess, would be your game here. Lennox knocked them off just a few weeks ago at Del Rapids, and we might be primed for that Lennox-Sioux Falls Christian rematch, which we've kind of been looking at for the last couple of weeks. And here we are 1 win away of having that, and kind of similar to maybe Sioux Falls Christian basketball. Losing 1 year, playing the same team again next year. Seems like it's all setting up here for the Chargers.
It does, and they're playing extremely well. Last week's game against Rapid City Christian ended up not being that close. I think this Lennox-Del Rapids game is super interesting. Just Del Rapids has it at home, even though they didn't win the game. As you mentioned, Lennox beat them 2 weeks ago. So can they show us something? Can they show that they are a team that's capable of getting to the title game. I don't think any of them particularly match up well against Sioux Falls Christian. Lennox, if they can somehow figure out the defense like they did last season, maybe they've got a shot to slow them down, but I do think this is we're waiting for the Charger coronation here.
And then in AAA Landon, you've got Harrisburg. They're a 5 seed, also won on the road, knocking off O'Gorman. They've got Brandon Valley. They lost to the Lynx 24-0 just a couple weeks ago, and the question seems to be, does Harrisburg have any offense to keep up? Holding Brandon Valley to 24, pretty good, but can you score more than a couple times? Tough.
Well, the answer has been overwhelmingly no for every team that's not Jefferson, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
if you're going to beat them, you got to bring the offense, and I don't think Harrisburg has the offense to pull off this game. So, no, I don't think they're going to be the ones to do it. Now, I think that other semifinal is very interesting.
It's very, very interesting.
Lincoln 2, Jefferson at 3. Jefferson trending in the right direction, beating Brandon Valley 2 weeks ago to end the regular season. And they played early on. It was a lot of points, 57-36. And you expect a lot of points in this game. You might be 80 or 90. Again, the question is, can anybody stop Lincoln's offense? And I don't want to say Brandon Valley would rather play Lincoln at this point. I think whoever Brandon Valley would play would be a very tough matchup in the championship game, no matter who they get. But points aplenty, you would think in this one.
I like. First of all, I'll let you make a point if you have it, because I'm going to go into my computer simulation.
It's going to go off. Lincoln's offense is so good, 51 points a game. Their defense is not that good. They give 26.5 points a game. That's a lot.
I mean, that Rapid City, they were 26-21 at half.
They were down 20.
It was 21-13 with like 2 minutes to go in the half.
And then they didn't give up any more points. But and the way Jefferson's been playing lately, they're averaging 41 points a game. I just think this is going to be a shootout of the highest order. Lincoln's going to need to get the offense going, and they can. That's their thing. But holy cow, mix in a stop or two if you can, just to give yourself a little bit of breathing room. I'm going to pick Lincoln because they've been so good all year, but wow, Jefferson is coming on strong.
What do you got here, Mr. Massey?
I ran
Mr.
the numbers.
Computers.
I crunched the numbers. Massey has this one. Sioux Falls, Lincoln, 42. Sioux Falls, Jefferson, 41.
Sign up for it.
51% confidence in the Patriots winning.
How did he do last week? Do you know how he did last week?
It went 25 of 28 in the quarterfinals.
So he was 31-1 opening week, and he was
25-3.
25-3. It's not bad. You can do a lot worse.
It missed it missed on 5 seed Wagner over Dual.
I don't blame Massey on that.
It missed 5 seed Ipswich over Phillip.
Okay.
And it missed 5 seed Watertown over Sturgis. Yeah. So the 3 games it missed were all the 4 or 5 games which you would expect.
That's the human element in there. That's the human element that jobbed the computer, that didn't let the computer have its success.
And then once again, the one game it missed in the first round was Hanson over Viborg Hurley in that rematch.
And 2 of the games they missed last week were 7-8 point games.
Mm-hmm.
They were close. So trust Massey. Does Massey have any upsets?
Dual Wagner was very close until a pick 6 at the very, very end. Yeah. So I think all of them were
1-score games.
What's right? Massey's biggest pick this week? What would you say is the one that stands out?
How do they like Pierre Huron?
I think they like
how many dozen points they got Pierre winning by?
They have Pierre by 14, 78%.
I think that's fair. I think
conservative.
Yeah.
They have Yankton by 26 over Sturgis.
Okay. All right.
With 92% confidence.
Wow.
Let's see here. I wasn't prepared for that question. It does think that Harrisburg keeps it within a score against Brandon Valley, but
I'm not there on that one.
Has the Lynx as 66% confidence favorites. Really likes the Cardinals Pirates matchup in 9B. Both of them over 80% favorites in that one. The largest favorite, I think you could probably guess who it is. Wall.
Yeah.
96% to beat Phillip is what it says.
I really wish I was good enough with numbers that I could build out. I want to build a BCS formula for high school football.
We'll do it.
I think it'd be sweet.
That'll be our summer project.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know math well enough to make that happen. Landon does. Landon wanted to be a math guy for a while. So
good.
Still do it, Hart.
Corner Booth brought to you by Jimmy John's, James Valley Landscape Solutions, Marlin's Family Restaurant. Where does the coverage go here on Friday night? Who's going where for MitchellRepublic.com?
We all hit the road.
Travis, this is wedding season, so our dear friend Trey, he's got a family member getting married. I don't know if it's on Friday or Saturday, but he's out of service. So it's just me and Landon.
Good.
Hitting the road. Landon goes to Elkton. We're kind of trading places. He's going to take my spot in Elkton. I'm headed to Alcester, Hudson, and Howard. And then we'll keep track of the other two. Our friend Eric Kaufman has been filling in for us on the Freeman games. He's been helping out, so he'll be there.
In high school football playoffs, Corn Country 92-1 at Savon Coleman Egan on Friday night at 7. Then Parkson at Elkton Lake Benton on Q1073. Mitchell Volleyball up next is they've got O'Gorman tonight. Kernels, a big underdog tonight. Chance to lose their third consecutive game. But again, they end up playing 3 of the top 5 teams in AA. They lost to Washington a week ago, getting swept there. They did win a set versus Brandon Valley Tuesday, winning the second 25-23. But then the Lynx win in 4, and then they've got a tough task against an O'Gorman team that's only lost 2 matches all year versus in-state AA teams. They're a 4-loss team overall. Then you start crunching numbers here because, there's a lot on the line. Mitchell really can't do much about it because it'd be a massive win for them tonight. But they got to just kind of wait and see. Looks like Mitchell's probably going to be at home next Thursday night for their Sodak match. Outside shot, there are 7 seed playing the 10 Spearfish. I think more likely Mitchell falls to the 8, and they take on an Aberdeen Central team that they lost to about a month ago up in Aberdeen, but this one would be at Mitchell. Kernels need Rapid City Stevens to beat Sioux Falls, Washington on Friday night, Marcus, because Washington is very close to jumping Mitchell here at 7. If that doesn't happen, looks like Washington will be at 7. Mitchell drops to 8, and it's a big difference playing Aberdeen versus Spearfish. You'll be at home either way. Also a big difference. So you'd have to play Harrisburg in that first round of the state tournament rather than Brandon Valley. And again, Mitchell won a set versus Brandon Valley. So really a lot on the line for Mitchell tonight scoreboard watching.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Brandon Valley and O'Gorman. Brandon Valley is the 2 in the seed points, but the 3 in the poll, and it's flipped around. O'Gorman's 2 in the poll, 3 in the seed points at this point. And Brandon Valley's won a bunch of matches in a row, but they did get swept. I guess they split with O'Gorman. They got swept once, and then they beat them 3-1. So I think, the only thing I would say is O'Gorman, Mitchell has the last few years, I don't think they've won the matches, but they've played pretty well. Wasn't it 2 years ago they had the 5-setter? Yeah. So, and that was, obviously they were overmatched at that point, but I'd like to see if they can put something big together to make this a tough match with O'Gorman. Certainly the Knights are favored. And like you said, it's interesting to be standings watching, scoreboard watching, because I think this is going to be tough. I think it's going to be hard for Mitchell to hang on to the 7 spot unless they get some help or unless they get the win tonight. And then, like you said, you want to be in the bottom half of that bracket if you can at the state tournament. You'd rather play Spearfish in the Sodak 16. I think, as I've said before, I think the biggest thing is they're going to be home in the Sodak 16. Seems like that's probably locked up at this stage, but it'd take quite a bit to move them off of that. So I just hope that they're able to sort of, they showed a little bit of fight on Tuesday night with Brandon Valley taking a set. I'd like to see that continue against O'Gorman.
The scheduling here, my scheduling complaint of the week
Here we go.
End of the season, we want these Sodak 16 matchups. You want to know what they are. You don't want to wait till Friday or Saturday. You've got Rapid City Stevens and Central coming to Sioux Falls tomorrow to take on Lincoln and Washington Friday night, and they switch on Saturday. They play Saturday at noon. You don't need to play these games the last 2. It should be done tonight on Thursday. Bracket should be out on Thursday night, and you have a full week to prepare. Mitchell shouldn't be waiting there saying, well, we'll find out probably Friday night. You have to wait Saturday for it to come out. Get these, you don't need these Rapid City versus Sioux Falls matches at the very end of the regular season. Everybody waiting to see where they're going to go. Get these done before the last day of the year. What say you? Good idea, maybe?
There's only so many weekends in the year, and they have to play on a weekend. You're not going to play on a Monday and a Tuesday with these 2 teams. So even though we did just propose that Sturgis should stay in a federal prison for a week in case they make the state tournament or state championship. But
did you say we?
I think you signed off on that. Obviously, yes, in theory, there should be a weekend earlier in the season that they would be able to do this, but all these teams have their tournaments that they like to go to and that sort of thing. So, and nobody wants to pull one deck out of the stack because that's going to cause everything to tip over. I agree that, it'd be nice to have it a little bit earlier. to the regular Joe, does it matter between Saturday night and Thursday? When you find out, no, it doesn't. I will say it's interesting because Class A and Class B, they previously took all of last week. You'd have teams playing still on Saturday. They nipped that in the butt, and they stopped it on Tuesday, I think it was last week. So that was 3 days earlier than what they'd been doing. So you saw in A and B, they stopped stringing it along, but I think it's a little bit easier to do that with A and B as opposed to Rapid City and Sioux Falls. They have to play on a weekend, and they're probably not inclined to change that, at least at this point.
Stevens is going to end up playing 37 regular season matches.
There was who was it? Dakota Tech? They've played like 40-some?
Yeah. Stevens makes the tournament. They're going to be at, 41 matches for the season?
Dakota Tech is 30-12. They'll play their 43rd match of the night in the round of 32.
Huron has played 21. They played 16 more matches than Huron has. And Stevens is the 4 seed, Watertown close behind at the 5. If Stevens slips up here versus Washington, not that it would matter a whole lot between 4 and 5, just your Sodak 16 opponents. And then you've got Lincoln, very good 6 seed. They've been ranked 4th in the poll here for quite a while. Lincoln very good at number 6. I do enjoy that Stevens, the 9 or 10 voters in the volleyball poll, they just quit voting for Stevens. Like Stevens lost a couple matches, they lost to Mitchell, and all right, you're done. You're not even under consideration, which is fine. I think the top 5, the way they are, is I think the top 5. But Stevens and Watertown really fell off the map, and Washington trending in the right direction at the moment.
When only 12 people vote in the volleyball poll, I guess it is. I mean, it is what it is, and you have a little more groupthink, I guess, in that way. And I mean, I gave Mitchell the credit for beating Stevens head-to-head, and Watertown, and then obviously they've lost since then, so they've dropped out of the top 5. But we're now at the point where the teams will get seeded, and we'll find out what's going to happen here.
And we will find out what happens tonight with Class A and Class B volleyball, Sodak 16. Just 2 area teams here. I went through this list here. Went through this list of Class A. Yeah, I went all the 1 and 2 seeds. It's probably not going to happen, but if all the 1 and 2 seeds advance, or in this case, the better seed, how it would play out, you'd have Wagner taking on Mount Vernon Plankington tonight in Region 5A. Wagner a 1 seed there. Then McCook Central Montrose plays Parker Marion in the other side of that 5A bracket. And barring any massive upsets, MCM would be your 16 seed going into next week, and they would have to play Dakota Valley. And Wagner would be a 12 seed. They could potentially play winner, but not a whole lot of teams that maybe are going to left out. We talked about the one region that was stacked with 3 or 4 teams in that top 10. Going based on what we have, West Central at number 12 would be the first team left out, but I think West Central could win tonight. Lennox dropped down all the way to the 14 seed. So, again, as you know, very few upsets in a Sodak 16, and you got to get to those semifinals first. But hardly an area team left here. There might not be any here in Class A.
Yeah, and I think that's not a surprise to anybody that's watched. I think Wagner and Winter have been, at least in this area, the 2 best teams in Class A. They both have a chance to move on and get to the Sodak 16, but they're going to be long shots to get to the state tournament, I think. And so that is something to keep an eye on going forward, but no question, the axis of power is Dakota Valley, Del Rapids, and Sioux Falls Christian.
And I had to double-check the score, Landon, the other night.
Yeah.
Bridgewater Emory loses to Sioux Falls Lutheran, a 2-7 matchup in Region 3B. And, Bridgewater Emory's had this issue of having a really good start, and then once you get to that final couple weeks, schedule gets tougher, and they don't even get out of the quarterfinals here. They get kind of stunned by Sioux Falls Lutheran. Big surprise. That was the biggest upset of the night on Tuesday.
Yes.
It was. 7 over a 2.
It is. I would like to point out that Sioux Falls Lutheran is like a 20-win team.
Yep. 18-9 going.
I mean, that
one.
region is, I think, far and away the deepest region in Class B. It's not really particularly close. So while it is an upset, like we've seen that over the years, that is a really competitive region. Am I like totally stunned? I wish I could say I was, but I'm not.
They beat Sioux Falls Lutheran twice beforehand. They swept them a month ago. So just disappointing end of the season.
No doubt.
For what, 18-0 they started? 17-0, 18-0. Parkson's got the best shot here. Parkson would be a number 4 seed. That'd be a real good spot for them if Parkson can make the state tournament as a 4 seed, potentially play a 5 seed in Bennett County, because those top 3 seeds in Class B not going anywhere. Chester at 1, Northwestern at 2, Warner at 3, and then Parkson pops in at number 4. And then you might have, I guess, the winner tonight of Avon Corsica Stickney will be your 16 seed. They get the pleasure to play Chester next week. Hitchcock Tulare at 6 would be out at the moment. So there's going to be one highly ranked team in Class B that will not make that SODAC 16 tonight. So just one on the schedule, I suppose.
Yeah, Class B a little bit more wide open in terms of area teams, at least with Parkson and Burke for our purposes. Yeah. And so I think Parkson, considering they've had a coaching change this year and a little bit change in personnel, has had a really good season. And I think if they're able to get to the state tournament, that'd be quite the accomplishment. As usual, I think it just kind of comes down to this is always one of the more interesting days of the year, both for volleyball and basketball, because you look at this and you're like, it should go this way. You get a couple upsets and the whole order gets changed, and we'll get some matchups that we didn't think we were going to get. And so I'm looking forward to that. And then obviously there's just, since we've gone to this format, there's really nothing like playing a team that you may not know anything about, and it's one match, one game to go to the state tournament. I think we've all agreed it's been a pretty good format change, and I'm excited to see who we might have in action on Tuesday night with the SODAC 16.
Region 1B, Northwestern, the 1 seed. Then you've got Warner and Hitchcock Tulare. Warner, your 3 seed, and Hitchcock Tulare, the 6 in the state. So we got 3 versus 6 in seed points. So if Warner can advance there, I guess if you're Parkson could move up to that number 3 spot. If Hitchcock Tulare could knock off Warner later tonight. And then SODAC 16's Tuesday, quickly approaching for A and B, and then the Kernels would play on Thursday nights. KORNer booth, again, previewing the volleyball matches here tonight. We'll keep you updated. Scores here throughout the evening. College football, the local squads, I don't know if I want to say
I think they're playing this week.
I think so.
Did
They
I
are.
hear that right?
Yep, going to be Mount Marty and Morningside. SDSU fans, did they not handle this loss very well versus Indiana State? Was this kind of a meltdown for Jackrabbit faithful, saying, let's burn down the Dyke House? You lose to junky old Indiana State, 24-12 at home. Terrible loss, not expected. Offense, not so good. The whole game, not so good. But, Indiana State had a backup quarterback. SDSU had a backup quarterback. They've got some injuries. Did I see the playoff rankings had SDSU at 6, so it's not death to all here. It's, all right, 6. You still got a bye. You still got a home playoff game if things go right. Big game at USD on Saturday. We'll see if Chase Mason plays. But the vitriol that these Jackrabbit fans had, they were about ready to close shop on this season. My God.
I think they probably overreacted, but given how poorly Saturday went, I guess I can understand, because that was a really bad loss at home. You just went 34 games without a home loss, and then you lose. Losing to NDSU, okay, that's fine. Even if you're on your second string quarterback, SDSU fans, I think rightfully so, have the expectation that their team should be good enough to beat Indiana State at home. They flat out didn't play well enough for that to be a victory. So, and I think it also is, if you're looking at, we couldn't beat Indiana State, how the heck are we going to beat USD, UND, Illinois State still ahead? That is probably part of this as well. And I can understand that as well, because has there been a matchup that you can think of in the last couple years where things have changed so quickly in the last few weeks than this SDSU USD game? Because now USD...
Northwestern Penn State a couple weeks ago.
That's true. But
at this level...
Penn State still doesn't have a conference win. Yeah. So I wrote about it. I think this is an incredibly interesting matchup from a quarterback perspective. You have Aiden Bauman, who's 0-2 career against USD or against SDSU. He's not a big-time 300-yard-a-game, 4-touchdown passer. But he needs to win this game, because I don't think he wants to leave USD and never have beaten the Jackrabbits. If you're SDSU, you need to win this game just in general, regardless of the fact that it's USD. But you're putting out probably Luke Marble or Jack Henry, probably not Chase Mason, it doesn't sound like. So one of those guys, can they step up and be the hero, potentially save SDSU's season at this point and get a win on the road? And they may not have to... They could play the same game, Aiden Bauman and whoever SDSU starts at quarterback. Can the defense, can the special teams, somebody lift the Jacks to that road win to pull this game out. I know at one point early in the week, SGSU was favored by 9. That felt like, felt like way too much. So
who do I write the check to?
Yeah, it's
9.
No cash, no credit, or no check, I should say. So I think USD is going to win this game. Honestly,
yeah.
I mean,
they should be favored.
They should be favored. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. SGSU's got to make some plays and see what they can. I don't think they've had a defensive touchdown all season, SGSU. Oh. So Saturday would be a good time for that. Landon, your thoughts?
Do you have a sense of why John Bell isn't getting even a consideration to play when the quarterback play has been this bad?
I don't know why he's not being considered now, but clearly they've decided that Luke Marble and Jack Henry are better than him, and they're the future.
Of course. When your quarterback plays this mundane, I feel like you got to do something. And somebody who's been around the college game, I know that John Bell doesn't have a ton of reps in live action, but is anything definitively the wrong answer at this point? I don't know. Because, last week's performance was abysmal.
I think to look at it any worse, if it gets worse, I think you've got to consider other people. Because if you lose...
I agree. Put Pelham at quarterback, because that pass he threw on the fake punt last week was on the money.
Yeah. How well does he know the pass scheme?
And does he have to change shoes in between? Yeah, that would...
He's got to keep the kicking shoes on. You got to always have that threat that he might punt it, even on second down.
USD's got Southern Illinois next week. Do they just have to win one of these two to get in the playoffs? They're at 6-4. I think if they beat SDSU, they're in at 7-4. I mean, they were kind of left for dead. You didn't expect them to beat North Dakota last week, and if they can win one of these two, it'd be a 7-win Valley team with a top 10 win.
I feel like in a 12-game schedule, you have to win 8 games. I really do.
I think
it's going to be really hard for them to be 7-4 in a 12-game season against FCS teams, and get in. I mean, they are maybe the one team or one of the very few teams in the country that could do it because they're from the Valley. But I think to make sure you're in, you have to win both.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
USD won at Indiana State 19-14.
Yep.
So Indiana State kept it close versus USD. 3 o'clock start time.
I saw the theory here was that with the seeding or the rankings for the playoffs, that SGSU is probably being held in better regard because they beat Montana State, they beat Youngstown State. Those were both on the road, and they didn't play a non-D1 team. Montana did. There's somebody else that was pretty highly up there that they played a non-D1 team, and they think that maybe they're holding that against them finally. So that'd be something to watch here is when the bracket gets seeded.
Yeah, I mean, just the injuries too. The injuries are big.
And the injuries, they always talk about that they consider the injuries. Well, if you have an idea that you might get Chase Mason back for the playoffs, which I have to think is the plan at this point, then...
He's got to be back next week or else they might be are we making the playoffs here?
Well,
if they finish...
They got to win one more game.
That's why they have to win this week. Or next week.
Win one of these last 3 here because 7 wins. I don't know if they. I mean, they're not.
You can't lose 5 in a row.
No, you can't lose 5 in a row. You're done. You're done. Yeah, not happening.
Did I see right that they only dropped to 6
they were 8th in the actual poll. They're 6th in the playoff.
They're 6th in the playoff ranking.
Yeah. Which that was the last one they're putting out before the bracket. Yeah. So which is kind of strange.
They're the Notre Dame of the FCS.
Yeah,
the 2 losses not hurting them.
3 o'clock, ESPNU, Dakota Dome. We'll see how it looks on the big TV.
If you have access.
You can get access.
Very bright, very green, very, very red.
Very green field, yeah.
The other football, the 12-team football playoff, had their rankings. Not a lot of surprises at the top. What did you make of the first 12-team playoff? You've got Texas would be that first team out at 11. You've got Oklahoma at 12. You've got just a real quality club in Virginia leading the ACC at the moment, ranked 14th. Then you've got Memphis at that spot, the group of 5 spot. I was wondering if they were actually going to just keep ranking the teams until they got to Memphis at 32. Oh, we like this team at 26. We like Northwestern's at 27. They just said, yeah, Memphis. I wonder how many spots they had to go to get maybe 5 more spots of that.
They should have ranked
released that.
They should have released it all.
How
the way
close is USF or Tulane or
don't you want to know
anybody?
where you stand?
Yeah. So so a lot to be decided, but Those top 3 teams undefeated, A&M at 3, Indiana at 2, and Ohio State at 1. Any team that you think team most likely to maybe drop out and team most likely to jump back in? One? More than one? ACC, I mean, the ACC had Miami and Georgia Tech and Virginia, and Louisville. They're looking like a one-bid league.
I think Louisville is going to get the ACC bid. If you made me pick the ACC champion right now, I think I'd pick the Cardinals. The one team that is in real danger of dropping out is Oregon.
They got to win this weekend. I don't think they are.
Well, they have to probably win out. I don't know if they lose any of their last 3 or 4 games here, if they get the benefit of the doubt, because they play Iowa. I know they finish with Washington, and I can't. Do they play like USC maybe?
That's a tough schedule.
And it's like their November's hard, and they're at 9 with 1 loss. They're the lowest 1-loss team, which I tend to think that the committee is incorrectly devaluing their win over Penn State. I would argue that Oregon is the reason Penn State went into chaos. And Penn State, were they the number 2 team in the country? No, but Penn State was definitively a top 25 caliber team when Oregon went to Beaver Stadium and beat them. Right?
Yeah, they're much better than they are now.
They are not the winless Big Ten team that you see today. I think that loss to Oregon precipitated that fall, but like that win isn't. They didn't beat Penn State yesterday. They beat them when Penn State was still good. The one team I thought was really, really interesting in this is Utah at 13, like just lurking. Utah, a 2-loss team already. But only like behind 2-loss teams, only Notre Dame, Texas, and Oklahoma, I believe. If I have that right.
Yeah, Utah, they've got Baylor, Kansas State, and Kansas.
They really should win out. There's a chance they win out and they don't make the Big 12 title game. It's
probably good for them.
Which was crazy to say, but that might honestly be, they might backdoor their way in. I think they honestly, what's going to be a very interesting state. I just think this could very well be. This may be getting a little too far in the weeds for.
Let's get in there,
but whatever.
Let's get itchy.
So this week, Texas Tech plays BYU in Lubbock. I think Texas Tech wins. That would probably, at this moment in time, that would be the Big 12 title pairing here in a few weeks. If Texas Tech won again, BYU sitting there 2 losses to the same team. Does BYU get dropped below a Utah team that they beat in the Holy
Texas,
War?
After that, Texas Tech would be like, what, 5 or 6?
I mean, I think Tech is a really good team.
If they could finish with one loss.
Their one loss was without their starting quarterback by a couple of points to Arizona State, kind of playing for their lives at that moment in time.
It'd be hard to leave BYU out if they lost twice to Texas Tech and Texas Tech wins the conference and they lost the one game. That'd be tough to let them, but I feel like it's going to be they're big, they're BYU.
That's why I think it's just very interesting. And of course, you mentioned it. Texas at 11 feels maybe just
it's ridiculous.
A touch.
It's ridiculous.
They are only a 2-loss team,
but they were not penalized for the wins. The overtime wins versus Kentucky and Mississippi State. They went up in the AP poll both of those weeks. It's just, how do you look at that and justify? This is obviously
different than the AP poll. The AP poll is a joke.
But then they look at this here too. But they were at 11.
Okay,
at 11.
The reason that I agree with you that it doesn't make sense.
That's tough.
Is ironically because they put Ohio State at 1. If you're doing it just based on, without the eye test, and you're just doing it based on a resume, okay, Texas at 11 halfway makes sense just because they've won the games, right?
They beat Vanderbilt.
However,
beat Oklahoma.
Exactly. So, just based on resume, Texas probably has a halfway decent case for being that high. But when you put Ohio State over Indiana and Texas A&M, who I would feel at this moment in time have slight edges in the resume department, it's because you think Ohio State's better because they look like the best team in the country. So are you valuing what you think about these teams and how good they look, or are you valuing
who they beat?
Because Texas does not look the part of the 11th ranked team in the country, except maybe I mean, they did just get, I think, what is a really quality win against Vanderbilt. I don't think Vanderbilt necessarily is a top 10 team. Vanderbilt, I think, is pretty definitively a top 20 team in the country, though. And Texas dominated much of that game.
Not a fan of Georgia, but Texas is off next week.
They play with their food a lot.
They do play with their food a lot, but we can end this malarkey. Next week, Texas is at Georgia. Georgia can knock them out. And if not...
But if Texas wins that game, then it gets...
Then they got A&M at the end of the year, and you're looking at A&M, which I'm looking for them to trip up. Even if they were to finish undefeated, I just A&M, defense not so good. I just don't.
I think A&M's really good.
Offensively good, defensively, I think
a little shaky at times.
And it's like, LSU, they beat LSU. LSU's not so good. They got the Notre Dame win. So
I challenge A&M to finish the season 13-0.
Do it.
They wouldn't finish the season 13-0.
Finish the regular season.
They would then have more games after being 13-0.
Lose in the Cotton Bowl in the quarterfinals.
I'm looking at it's one of these.
So 13-1.
Like Michigan, where's Michigan? I don't know. Obviously, Michigan, Ohio State's going to be important at the end of the year, and that's going to be a play-in game for Michigan. If Michigan can win that game, they've got a real good shot to sneak in as a 2-loss team. I want to see one of these 10-2 teams
all of this.
That get in. Is there a team that's going to sneak in?
To your point, what you just said about Michigan is true of USC, Iowa, Michigan, and Washington.
They're all playing each other.
All of these upper mid-tier Big Ten teams, they all have it right in front of them. Any one of them wins out, I think they're in.
Yes, there'll be 2 losses, yeah. Very intriguing. Actually, a lot to decide.
Hear this. I didn't realize this. So obviously one of Michigan's losses is to Oklahoma, so they only have the one Big Ten loss. If they win out, which would obviously then include beating Ohio State in the game,
they play Indiana.
They would play Indiana for the Big Ten title. It wouldn't be Ohio State.
Good.
Drop Ohio State down to 8, and they can run the table again.
Yep, that's where they want to be.
There we go. It's a lot to decide. Exciting 4 games to go for most of these teams in the regular season. Final points, Marcus. I guess the World Series was great, but
epic, and a kind of an epic choke as well.
Great.
Has to be said.
Great. One of the best things anybody's ever seen. Game 7, extra innings, bases loaded, tie game, the whole thing, the whole nation watching on a Saturday night.
2 guys crashing into each other, still catch it. Game could have ended right there. Game could have ended at home plate by this much, 2 inches. What were you going to say?
Will Smith is glad that he wore the long spikes for that game.
Will Smith's won a World Series 6 years in a row. Did you see that? It's been different Will Smiths, but somebody named Will Smith has won it 6 or 7 years in a row.
J.J. McCarthy played well.
He might be a guy.
He returned. I think he's going to be pretty good. People can stop talking about him, please.
The Steelers are the best team in the NFL because they beat the best team in the NFL. Correct? That's how that works.
Yep. They get
the championship belt.
They did. As people were talking about J.J. McCarthy, he hadn't played in a month and a half, and I guess, similar to the Jackrabbit fans talking about this loss. Like, what just the whole deal with Carson Wentz getting hurt, and we hate the coaches now, and we hate everybody, and they go into Detroit, which they just were terrible week 18 last year, and they go in Detroit and take it to the Lions, and quarterback plays pretty good. Now their season is saved. And Carson Wentz says, yeah, I wanted to play. I understand the risk of football. I understand I can get hurt. I went into the game hurt. I got hurt worse. It sucks. It's painful. Surgery is on the way. But again, like J.J. McCarthy, this is his 3rd ever NFL game. He's going to play some good games the rest of the way if he stays healthy. He's going to play some not-so-good games. I tend to think he's going to be really, really good. Vikings have had a lot of quarterbacks in our lifetime, Marcus, that have put up a lot of big stats. Go from Kirk to Culpepper, go down the line.
Sam Bradford.
Go down the line. Jeff George, Randall Cunningham.
Case Keenum.
Gus Farratz. Yep. Todd Bauman for 3 games.
Warren Moon.
Go down the line. Brad Johnson, whoever. They haven't had a lot of quarterbacks that have won playoff games. And I think this guy might win more than one playoff game in a season, which nobody's ever seen unless you're 45 years old at this point. McCarthy, you look at the stat, he threw for 140 yards. You see the throws he makes, big play at the end to convert on 3rd down. Give me some guy that can win a game, that can make a play at the end of the game to win it. And that's what he did. 3 touchdowns. He can run, stay healthy. I think they've got a guy that can hopefully win some games, because that'd be great to see. Playoff games in January.
The issue was that it was a matter of circumstance where J.J. McCarthy's out for 5 or 6 weeks. He was out all last year. Is this guy ever going to play? Mm-hmm. Jesus, we lost to the Falcons. What are we doing? But then also Daniel Jones was looking good. Sam Bradford was looking good. Why did we let these guys go? Well, we let them go because you drafted the guy number 10 in last year's draft. You're not going to keep both of them. You have to let the new guy play. We have to find out what we have. We're finding out what we have. He might be a guy.
Yes.
And also, are his numbers amazing? No. He had moments. He's had moments in all 3 games where he's gotten a little jammed up. That's what happens when you play good teams. The Lions are a good team. But get down to the red zone, uses his feet, runs it in for a touchdown. He did that against the Bears as well. You also saw what a, no pun intended for Carson Wentz, a shot in the arm this guy was, and how the other players reacted to him. The other players recognize what Carson Wentz is and what he isn't. And was it terrible how Carson Wentz looked against the Chargers and how much pain he was in? Yes. But Carson Wentz is in his 30s. He's probably the same age as me or younger, older, I don't know. But he's able to make his own decisions. And you know what? Football is not, we've spent a lot of time talking about it, all levels, high school, college, professional. It is a gruesome game. And sometimes guys get hurt and the professionals play hurt. And Carson Wentz knowingly put himself out there because he knows this is probably it. He's been on 6 teams in 6 years. This is his last chance to maybe be the guy. And he played okay for a couple games, whatever. And then it all fell apart. And yes, he was used as a human shield until J.J. McCarthy was healthy to come back out onto the field. People don't want to acknowledge that, but that's what happens.
And he was okay with that.
He was okay with it. It punctures just ever so slightly Kevin O'Connell's perception of being a good guy. But you know what? He's an NFL coach. He's got to do what he needs to do to win. J.J. McCarthy, long-term and short-term at this point, give him the best chance to win.
Landon, there doesn't seem to be any patience in this instance.
Well, gee, I wonder why that is. We've got these that we hold up in our hands. And
what is this? They didn't do good on this drive.
And I click on it, and I want instant satisfaction
Patience.
every time I look at it. That's why patience and perspective are not often found, Travis.
That's what this patience and perspective. With
it's too long of a name.
P&P. You just got to wait. Again, like 3. He's been here a year and a half, 3 starts. I feel like to get a good gauge on a guy, especially with the 17-game season now, you got to give him at least 30 starts to figure out what the hell's going on here. And he's a number 3.
Well, especially when they didn't start a ton of games in college.
And we have the guys that are doing the bounce back. Maybe it's on another team, but Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones. Kevin O'Connell said previously, and he would know this, he was a quarterback. Situations, teams fail quarterbacks more than coaches, or players fail quarterbacks, I should say. More than players fail quarterbacks. And that's absolutely been true the last couple of years. It's why Sam Darnold was very solid last year for the Vikings. It's why he's good in Seattle right now. The situations matter. Are we surprised that guys get thrown in to the Jets and the Panthers year after year, the Raiders year after year?
Cleveland can draft whoever they want at quarterback. It's never going to. They could draft Mahomes. They put Mahomes in Cleveland for the past 10 years. How did that work out? Probably not as good as it did in Kansas City.
He wouldn't still be the quarterback in Cleveland. I promise you that.
Ship him out. So, yeah, part of it's the situation.
He might be out of the league. I mean, even with that amount of talent, yeah.
Because let's play with that idea. Just think about how Mahomes plays. If he's in the wrong situation, the wrong guy's calling plays for him, he's doing all these things and he's getting picked off instead of throwing passes to a Hall of Fame tight end. Yeah, he's probably not in the league anymore. And so, yeah.
He's like he's obviously one of the best quarterback talents of all time.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, for J.J. McCarthy, you just have to stay healthy. If he can stay on the field. Like, they haven't had a guy like him where, Kirk Cousins didn't show any emotion at all. He just random neighbor Kirk Cousins.
Nice guy, not the best quarterback.
He'll be remembered for you like that from 10. That's what he'll be remembered for when he retires.
I do like that.
That'll be it. It's like he won't be remembered for he won't be remembered for anything else. He will be remembered for that moment.
And getting the bag.
And getting a whole lot of money and more money than almost anybody else. J.J. McCarthy just got this attitude about him that the Vikings, they haven't had a guy like that. At quarterback that I can remember. So,
and I think maybe the fans they're not used to that because there hasn't been a franchise quarterback here since Dante Culpepper, and that didn't end how they wanted it to. Yeah. So this has to be an adjustment because Vikings fans have gone through the turnstile of quarterbacks so often.
You need to be patient. He is 22 years old.
Yeah.
You need to be patient. So
It's kind of wild that you don't think Tavares Jackson was a
Rest in
franchise
peace
quarterback.
to the legend, Tavares Jackson, second-round pick out of Alabama State.
R.I.P.
I alluded to it, Travis. I don't think you're a subscriber, but YouTube TV, are you sticking with it? Are you going to give it up?
I can watch. I don't miss ESPN because it's not there. Like, there's nothing on there anyway.
The games, though.
And if I want to watch, I wanted to watch Duke, Texas the other night, so I got my other sources and I put on Duke and Texas. It's like, all right.
You jailbreaked?
I jailbreak that, and then Saturday there was whatever I wanted to watch, and I got that. North Texas Navy, give me North Texas Navy, and you get it on the TV. It ain't that,
I bet you picked Navy too. You didn't have
No.
You didn't have any faith in Drew Mestamaker.
Disrespectful.
No, I don't like
The Mean Green.
Mean Green Nation in this podcast studio.
Service Academy.
I'm sticking with it. I am not as fluent with the illegal or not illegal sources to find these games. So, but I was busy last weekend. I'll be busy this weekend. I'll probably make do. I think the first event that I'm going to get to that I will have the time to watch, that I might have to make an arrangement for, Eagles-Packers next Monday night. I might have to go to an establishment and watch that. Landon knows the establishment I'll probably be at. I think that's probably the only thing right now that I can foresee, that because I'm busy with something else, I won't miss it.
I don't know what he meant by that.
You know what I meant. certain establishment with a bowling alley in the side of it.
No. Like it'd be, this has gone on a week now. I thought, maybe it'll be a day or two. Like, all right, you got to figure something out here.
It's clear that they are not close. Apparently, that's been reported that they are not that close to a deal.
If you're ESPN, you've got your new app, and I'm sure you want people to sign up, but I'm sure they've gotten people to sign up for that. And
people say it's not any good. People say they're having issues.
Yes.
So that's not working either.
No.
I think I'm in for the long haul here with YouTube TV. I didn't necessarily think that was going to be the case, but and I saw other people say this. The user experience is so good on YouTube TV. That's one of the reasons they're keeping people.
Like, why they say, go back to cable. Well, I can get YouTube. Can I get the cable thing on my phone? If I got Mitchell Telecom on my phone, can I sign up?
I had that. I used to have that.
I get TV on my phone right here because I have YouTube TV.
It's app to app to app.
Yeah.
It's one app on my phone or on my iPad.
It's the convenience.
Yes.
There we go. Check it out. KORNer Booth podcast and pregame show. We'll be back next week.
And prattling on and on.
Prattling on. What was the name of the show? Patience
and Perspective.
Pride and Prejudice.
Pride and Prejudice podcast.
We'll be next. We'll be back next week with the championship games. We'll preview all 7 of them, plus Mitchell Volleyball next Thursday night. We're gonna buck up against each other.
And we think we're gonna have it a little earlier in the week. Next week.
I would think so. Yeah.
So it'll be a state football and potentially a SODAC 16 preview.
We will.
And we'll know Mitchell's opponent as well. So.
That's right. KORNer Booth, Landon, Marcus, Travis. Check it out on Spotify and on iTunes.
Podcast.